And sitting in for Dr. Joel Wallach today, we've got Dr. Peter Glidden. Welcome back to the show, Dr. Glidden.
Always a pleasure, Doug. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's take a breath, take a step back, and view the terrain. Let me get this straight. I'm a licensed naturopathic physician. Dr. Wallach is a licensed naturopathic physician. But we can only legally practice medicine in 17 states in the United States. This means in the great state of Washington or in the great state of California. As a naturopathic physician, I can prescribe drugs, deliver babies, perform minor surgery, order any diagnostic test I want, call myself a physician legally, and it's all covered by insurance. But if I was to do exactly the same thing that I did in San Francisco, Los Angeles, Seattle, or Portland, Oregon, in Miami, Boston, Atlanta, Houston, Dallas, Denver, I'd be thrown in jail and fined thousands of dollars for practicing medicine without a license. Now, does this mean that the laws of nature, the laws of physics, the laws of science change when we cross state lines? No. It means we don't have a free medical marketplace. We do not have a free medical marketplace. We haven't had a free medical marketplace since the early 1900s with the advent of something called the Flexner Report. The Rockefeller Foundation, or more specifically the Carnegie Corporation, hired a gentleman named Adolf Flexner to travel around the United States of America. And before Flexner's trip, there was a relatively level playing field of medicine here in the United States. Nobody had the upper hand. We had the osteopaths, we had the chiropractors, we had the homeopaths, we had the MDs, and we had the naturopaths. And it was a turf war. Everybody was vying for first place, and nobody had the upper hand. There were homeopathic hospitals all throughout the United States and homeopathic teaching medical schools. The homeopathic medical industry has had really a nice tradition here in the United States in the 19th century. But in the 20th century, in the 1900s, after the Flexner Report, everything changed. Adolf Flexner went around the country. It took him 5 years. This was well before, the internet, well before jet travel. Flexner went around the country by stagecoach, train, horse and buggy carriage and automobile. Took him 5 years, and Flexner did an inventory of all of the medical schools and all of the hospitals in the United States which prescribed drugs. He took that list, finally, after 5 years of research, back to the Carnegies, and the Carnegies gave millions of dollars of free money to the medical schools and the hospitals which prescribe drugs. Why is this? Because the Carnegies owned pharmaceutical concerns. The Rockefeller Foundation soon followed suit, and this was the beginning of the end for every system of medicine in the United States that did not advocate the use of prescription medications. This was infamously called the Flexner Report. Also, after the Flexner Report, they took it a step further and they glad-handed legislators to pass onerous laws making it illegal to practice medicine unless you prescribed drugs. This was the beginning of the end of the free medical market in the United States. Now, the chiropractors struggled back. The osteopaths struggled back. The homeopaths did not struggle back. The homeopaths completely lost their way, and the homeopathic medical profession no longer exists as a separate and distinct standalone medical profession. The naturopathic profession is slowly struggling back, but my point here is that people look around the medical theater today and they see, son of a gun, the only medicine my insurance pays for is MD-directed medicine. The only medicine that's practiced in my hospital is MD-directed medicine. For goodness sake, the only medicine they make TV shows about is MD-directed medicine. Therefore, people think that MD-directed medicine must be the best thing since sliced bread. And people unconsciously believe that, well, son of a gun, the MDs are everywhere all the time, and they must be everywhere all the time because they're the best at what they do. But that's incorrect. The MDs are everywhere all of the time, not because their therapeutics are better, not because their therapeutics are safer, not because their therapeutics are less expensive, not because their therapeutics are more effective. The MDs are in first place because of drug money. and the MDs legislated themselves into first place. There is no free medical market in the United States. It does not exist. The only option you have in most cities, most towns, most counties, most states in the United States is medical doctor A, medical doctor B, or medical doctor C, and they're all trained in the same outdated, old-fashioned, unrealistic philosophy. Your MD may be the nicest person God ever created, but your medical doctor does not know what's best for you. They only know what they've been trained in. And what they've been trained in is one tiny piece of the pie of medical science. It's referred to as allopathic reductionism. It should be illegal for your medical doctor to call him or herself a medical doctor because they don't practice medicine. Nobody does, right? They practice allopathic medicine. I practice naturopathic medicine. There's chiropractic medicine, homeopathic medicine, etc. It was a brilliant public relations campaign when the allopathic profession coined the term medical doctor, because they do not practice medicine. They practice allopathic medicine. They also do not practice health care, because if they did, under their care, we would be getting healthier. They practice disease management. And under their care, well, facts are a stubborn thing. The leading cause of bankruptcy in the United States, MD-directed medical treatments, and, believe it or not, the leading cause of death, MD-directed medical treatments. What's the most expensive type of medicine? It's the one that doesn't work. Bringing your body to the office of an MD, if you are suffering from a chronic illness, is a fool's errand, and it is destined to fail. This is why I recommend people fire their MDs as soon as possible, because quite frankly, they're the wrong dog for the hunt. I'm Dr. Peter Glidden. The best is yet to come. Stay tuned.
And we are back on Dead Doctors Don't Lie on the ZBS Radio Network with our host today, Dr. Peter Glidden, filling in for Dr. Wallach. Welcome back.
Hey, thanks a lot, Doug. You know, a couple of months ago on my radio show, Fire Your MD Now, I had the privilege to talk to Jonathan Emord. He's a constitutional lawyer out of Washington, D.C., and he's a lawyer that Dr. Wallach used to sue the Food and Drug Administration, and he was giving us insight into the insidious nature of the Food and Drug Administration. And quite frankly, when you boil it right down to its essence, the Food and Drug Administration is not designed to protect the American consumer. The Food and Drug Administration is designed to prop up the pharmaceutical industry. What do you think about that?
Well, I have an example of just that has just come out in a report from the Generic Pharmaceutical Association. This is a Reuters news story headlined, "Abuse of U.S. Generic Drug Rules Costs Consumers Billions," according to this report. They say rules aimed at ensuring prescription medicines are not misused have been manipulated by brand-name drug companies, costing consumers billions of dollars. The FDA has set up a program called the Risk Evaluation and Mitigation Strategy, which is set up to curb distribution of dangerous medicines, and it has been used to prevent the generic drug makers from getting drugs, these particular drugs, in order to test their own versions. You know, they'll need to get the real deal, the brand name, and test it against their own to make sure that it's got all the same percentages of chemicals and things. And so this is actually, required. They have to do this to get FDA approval for the generic drug. And because the brand name drug companies are using this to prevent these generic companies from getting, their drugs so that they can test them, this has delayed the arrival of about 40 different generic drugs to the market, costing consumers in the U.S. $5.4 billion a year. That's billion with a B. And that is a report out by the Matrix Global Advisors and released by the Generic Drug Trade Group. It's just, just another example of how the FDA, everybody thinks the FDA is there to protect, the public, and that is, nothing could be farther from the truth. I mean, I believe, wasn't it back in 1986 when or maybe in the early 90s, when they put in the fast track program, which allowed drug companies to do their own clinical trials, and then, we'll just report the results to the FDA and then let them approve or disapprove the drug. And there's been countless drugs that have been approved by the FDA that, it comes out after a whistleblower comes forward after they get their pension and retire from the drug company. Oh, yeah, on that one drug, we only sent the FDA the positive results on our tests. We just withheld the negative stuff. So they didn't really have the real picture when they were looking to approve that drug. And sorry about that.
Well, absolute power corrupts absolutely. It happens all throughout recorded time, the rise and fall of the Roman Empire. I mean, just look what happens to Central American and South American dictatorships. The peasants are, crapped on, and then the peasants revolt, and the peasants rise to power, and then once they're in power, they crap on everybody else. It's nuts. I mean, this is just the way that it goes. But really, this is a great big voodoo daddy here in the United States. It's worse, quite frankly, in the European Union, because in the United States, there's a law called DSHEA, which is an acronym for the Dietary Supplement Health Enforcement Act, and DSHEA draws a line between the pharmaceutical industry and vitamin companies, making it possible for United States citizens to get vitamins and nutritional supplements of high quality without an MD's prescription. They don't have that in Europe. And so if you want to get a high-potency vitamin in Europe, good luck, because you need an MD's prescription to do it. We wanted to open up a spa in Austria. We were looking to open up a health spa in Austria about a year ago, and we researched it quite a bit, and we were all ready to pull the trigger, except for the fact that we couldn't get Youngevity's nutritional supplements into the country without a prescription by an MD. And it's crazy. It's 10 times, 100 times, 1,000 times worse in the European Union. We do have a couple of laws here in the United States that draw a distinction here and that actually do protect the American consumer. But guess who fought them tooth and nail? The Food and Drug Administration, because the FDA, ladies and gentlemen, does not have your back. Nobody has your back except Dr. Wallach, right? We have your back here on Dead Doctors Don't Lie. We do. So give us a call and let us introduce you to the undiscovered country of science-based, clinically verified medical nutrition. You're going to love how you feel. Hey, it's always a pleasure, Doug. Let's hit the ground running, man. Who's up first?
All right, let's head to Michigan. And Kathy, you're on with Dr. Peter Glidden.
Hey, Kathy, what's going on?
Oh, I'm trying to help a friend out. Let me just tell you what she wrote me. She said, I have bone spurs in the first joints of my big toes, which are caused from my shin bones being turned and pulling all the bones in my feet out of alignment.
Well, that's half right. The reason that people get bone spurs isn't really because of stress, like, a torsional stress to the bone. It's because the bone is weak. If the structure of the bone was strong enough, it could handle misalignment all the time. I mean, we see people with scoliosis all the time. They don't have bone spurs, and so that's really kind of a half-truth. From our point of view, the generative cause of bone spurs is chronic mineral deficiencies in the body, where do mineral deficiencies show up first, second, and third in the bone. So right off the bat, I can tell you this woman is minerally deficient.
Okay, and she carries on to say, as a result of the bone spurs rubbing, I've developed arthritis in these joints.
Well, those are, again, that's only half true. These things are not consequent upon each other. They're different arms of the same octopus. So it's the same biochemical mechanism that's generating the bone spurs that's generating the arthritis. It's not like the arthritis is causing the bone spurs or the bone spurs is causing the arthritis. They're both caused by the same thing, kind of like two arms of the same octopus.
Right. So she goes on to say, so unless I can prevent the bones from rubbing every time I walk, it will continue to become inflamed. This is
well,
her theory.
So a little bit of a little bit of knowledge goes a long way, or a short way, and a little bit of knowledge is a dangerous thing here. But, at least she's reaching out, and she knows that she has a problem, and she knows that conventional medical doctors can't help her at all. So at least she's open to trying, a sophisticated doctor-directed strategy based on science-based, clinically verified medical nutrition. That's never a bad idea. So she needs bone and joint support, right? So how do we do that? That's easy. Number 1, she has to eliminate the 10 bad foods. Number 2, she has to eliminate the 10 bad foods. Number 3, she must eliminate the 10 bad foods. And then she needs to provide her body with the nutrition it needs to have healthy bones and joints. That's easy. The recommendation there, my favorite way to do that currently, is the Healthy Body Start Pack 2.0. One Healthy Body Start Pack 2.0 in the liquid form, one of those. 2 selenium, 2 liquid glucogel plus, and 1 bottle of plant-derived minerals per 100 pounds of body weight per month. That's 1 plant-derived minerals, 2 liquid glucogel plus, 2 selenium, and 1 Healthy Body Start Pack 2.0 liquid per 100 pounds of body weight per month. And then if you want to, it's never a bad idea to add 1 extra bottle of calcium. And in this regard, I would give her the Cal Toddy as, like an add-on extracurricular thing. And usually when women get on board with a program like this and they have symptoms like this, there's a noticeable, measurable improvement within the first 4 weeks. She also wants to pay attention to other things, when she's on this program, like her mood, her energy, her sleep, her appetite, her digestion, everything. Because remember, this is a holistic life support, right, for the whole person. Even though we're giving extra bone and joint support, it's a holistic phenomenon, and that's never a bad idea. Hey, thanks a lot, Doug. Who's next?
All right, let's head to Upland, California. And Sylvia, you're on with Dr. Peter Glidden.
Hey, Sylvia, what's going on?
Well, thank you for taking my call, Dr. Glidden.
Sure.
I am on dialysis, and they sent me to the hospital because they took too much of my water. They took almost 3.5 liters, and that swelled up my legs immensely to the point where I had to go to the hospital and get it drained. Yeah. But since then, my hair is falling out. I get heart palpitations. I have insomnia. Yeah. And, they never up the dry weight. I know my minerals are depleted because at one point my hair was growing, my nails were growing. I looked pretty good. Now I kind of look really shabby.
Well, dialysis, of course, is a stopgap, right? And dialysis, like most MD treatments, is not designed to fix the kidney. The dialysis is designed just to manage the problem. And because dialysis is rather a crude program, crude process, the dialysis not only takes the bad stuff out of the urine, but it also takes, or out of the blood, it takes good stuff out of it as well. And so the longer that you're on dialysis, the more deficient you become in nutrients, and that this, of course, accelerates the pathology of the original complaint to begin with. So I've seen people on dialysis come off of dialysis with a medical nutrition program. It's not, I can't guarantee that will happen, because there is a point of no return that the body has. There is a point beyond which it can't bounce back. But I've seen people on dialysis come off of dialysis with the medical nutrition program. So, I don't have a crystal ball, but here's what I do know. Your body, my body, everybody else's body in the world needs medical nutrition on a daily basis, because the nutrients that our bodies need to support and promote their structure and function are not present in the food. They're not. So unless you're supplementing with a good, high-quality, absorbable nutritional supplement program, it's only a matter of time until your body runs out of stuff, and then things start to break, and then you have to go to the MD because they're the only show in town. But the MD doesn't have any training in medical nutrition, so they're trained to throw drugs at the problem, not to cure the problem, but to manage the problem. You go from bad to worse. You go from the frying pan into the fire. You spend hundreds of thousands of dollars, and then you die. So never a bad idea, no matter what state of illness your body is currently in. You need medical nutrition. So, and honest to God, the proof of the pudding really is in the eating here. This is the only reason why my profession still exists. It's certainly the only reason why longevity exists, because we get results. And, that beats a poke in the eye with a sharp stick. So what's your current body weight?
About 166 when normal. But
Yeah.
I've been on longevity products for 6 months now.
Okay, so the only time that medical nutrition fails is if you're not taking the right stuff, you're not absorbing it, or you're not taking enough of it. So this begs the question, have you eliminated wheat, barley, rye, and oats from your diet yet? Have you done that?
Well, yes, but there are some things that still give me my psoriasis, which is like rice and corn. And
so you've eliminated. You're completely gluten free, right?
Well, no, not yet, because I still have little patches of psoriasis.
Well, but are you eating wheat, barley, rye, or oats on a daily basis?
No.
Oh, okay.
No,
All right. So we're a little confused here. We're up against a hard break. You stick around. I'll dial this in for you when we come back. Appreciate your call very much. Welcome aboard, everybody. This is Dead Doctors Don't Lie. Thanks a lot, Doug. We still have Sylvia on the line?
Yes, I am.
All right, Sylvia. So how much do you weigh?
166.
Okay, and please tell me what you're taking for longevity supplements.
Oh, the healthy start pack, the liquid osteo,
Yep.
the dailies, enzymes, selenium, 12 a day. Let me see.
How many of the healthy start packs are you taking a month?
Just one. I mean, I go through it just one a month. I'm going through the EFAs.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
Do one bottle of those a month, right?
Yes. And
and do 4 bottles of selenium a month? Z-Radical, how much Z-Radical?
About 3/4 of the bottle.
Okay.
I put it in my minerals.
So here's what I would do. All right, go ahead. What's your question? Yeah.
My question to you is, my body is not eliminating the water now, whereas before it was. I pee about a liter a day, over a liter a day. But how do I remove my water naturally, since it's now resistant?
Well, the dialysis is screwing that up, but 99 times out of 100, when we have water retention in the lower extremities, it's because of a reverse osmotic gradient set up by not enough protein in the blood. So you really want to make sure that you're not eating wheat, barley, rye, or oats. Just double and triple check everything. And you want to look to see, every time you eat from now on, you have to make sure that at least 50%, if not more, of the stuff on your plate is protein. So eggs, fish, chicken, meat, rice, and beans together in the same meal, mixed salted nuts, protein, 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 protein. And make sure you're salting your food so that it tastes good. And make sure that you're taking, are you doing the digestive enzymes? Come in, Sylvia.
Yes, I am.
You doing the digestive enzymes? Yeah, so you just need more protein, a little bit more salt. And I would double down on the calcium dose that you're taking. If I were you, as an experiment for 7 days, I would take 3 ounces of the calcium a day. 3 ounces of the calcium a day. Increase your consumption of protein. And just please double check that you're not inadvertently eating anything that has wheat, barley, rye, or oats in it. How long have you been doing this program, by the way?
6 months.
And how long have you been on dialysis?
6 months.
So you started this program the very first time you started dialysis, yeah?
Yes. Well, a little bit over because I was hospitalized.
Yeah, okay. And now, besides, the kidney function, have you seen anything else improve since you've been with...
yes.
So you've seen a lot of things improve, right?
Yes. But it's just that they keep on taking the minerals away from me.
Well,
So now
yeah, I know. What are you going to do? It's kind of like a cat and a mouse, right? But I will tell you one thing that I've observed after 25 years of clinical experience, right? Often with medical nutrition, it builds up and builds up and builds up and builds up. It's like a snowball rolling down a hill, or it's like a big jumbo jet trying to take off the runway. First it's standing still, and then it lumbers down the runway, and for goodness sake, you could run faster than that, and then it picks up speed and picks up speed, picks up speed, picks up speed, but it's still on the runway. And it picks up speed and picks up speed, still on the runway. And then all of a sudden, the nose lifts off the ground a little bit, but the plane is still on the runway. But then, boom, in 5 seconds, it's 3,000 feet in the air. That's often what happens with chronic debilitating illnesses like this. There's slow and steady improvement. I mean, you're feeling better, other things are getting better, and other things are improving, but the kidney issue is hanging fire, and it may hang fire for 3, 4, 5, 6 more months, and then all of a sudden, seems like overnight, you wake up and all of a sudden your kidney function is bouncing back. So I would say, as long as you're experiencing positive improvement somewhere in your holistic body-mind, just maintain the discipline, because time really is your best friend here. But it's good for you to call, because there are things that you can do to fast track this. As an experiment, I would increase my calcium dose. I would take 3 ounces a day for 7 days, and I would really just go crazy for protein in the same 7-day period, and see if that gives you a leg up on the water retention. And that time the pun was intended. I appreciate your phone call and your trust. Douglas, who's next?
So let's head to Capitola, California, and Kat, you're on with Dr. Peter Glidden.
It's the day for California. California callers all over the place. Hey, Kat, what's happening?
Hi, Dr. Glidden. Thanks for all you do. Great information.
Thank you.
I am a longevity associate, but I've got some questions for myself. I'm 120 pounds, 60-year-old with type 2 diabetes, which is pretty much under control. I think my blood pressure's low. It's about 100 over 40, 100 over 50. I have Charcot-Marie-Tooth disease.
Yeah.
It's a wasting of the muscle, the lower leg and the lower arms, hands and feet. And I've had bilateral hip replacement due to necrosis of the hip bones and hyperthyroidism.
Yeah, hyper or hypo?
Hyper.
That's
hyper, ramped up.
All right.
And I want to wean off the last 20 milligrams of an opiate I've been on for 10 years. I'm off of all of my RXs. I was on 10. Yeah. And the last one I'm having trouble getting off of is the opiate, 20 milligrams, and I desperately want to get off.
Is it a benzodiazepine?
No, it's methadone.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, sometimes this gets into a sticky situation that is kind of outside of the domain of holistic medicine, but sometimes it's beneficial to get on board with Valium, to transfer, wean off of the opiates while you're weaning onto Valium. Be on Valium for a little while and then wean off of the Valium, because sometimes that's a much easier strategy. But you have to find a medical professional who's willing to do that. And maybe there are 10 in the entire country that have clinical experience with doing that. Now, notwithstanding that, right, all that we do here, remember, in the context of, if I'm in a private practice in a state which licenses naturopathic medicine, in which I hold a license to practice medicine, I can treat disease because I'm licensed and regulated to do that. But in the context of longevity, in the context of this radio show and my radio show, neither Dr. Wallach nor I treat disease. What we do, however, is provide nutritional information, the intention of which is to support and promote your body's ability to optimize its structure and function. So what you would benefit from here is more minerals, more minerals. So, as an experiment for a month, I would take 4 ounces of the plant minerals a day. 4 ounces of the plant minerals a day, on top of what you're already doing. 4 ounces of the plant minerals a day. And you must consult with a pharmacist or a licensed physician in your state. And I don't know if naturopaths in California can prescribe methadone. I don't think so. but you have to find someone who can prescribe that drug, who can give you a recommendation for a reduction schedule. Sometimes a pharmacist will do that. The thing about reducing any drug, though, however, is it can be a rough ride. Once you get on board the reduction schedule, you have to maintain the discipline of the reduction schedule, and you have to ride that horse all the way to the end of the pasture, right? So, if it's a 4-week reduction program and you hit the second week and you're starting to have symptoms and you're starting to freak out, you need to just maintain the discipline, bite your teeth, and white knuckle it. But I'm telling you, extra mineral supplementation often goes a long way at cutting, the unnecessary side effects of drug withdrawals off at the knees. And you also may benefit from a month-long dose of the D-stress, D like David stress. So get 1 bottle of D-stress, 4 bottles of plant minerals, add that to the program, consult a pharmacist, get on board an opiate reduction schedule. Keep your fingers crossed, and God willing and the creek don't rise, you'll be out of the weeds in about 4 weeks. Appreciate your call. Hey, thanks a lot, Doug. Let's go to Jamaica. What do you say?
Let's head to Atlanta, Georgia, and talk to Nadej. You're on with Dr. Peter Glidden.
Hello, good evening. This is the husband. She's taking care of the baby.
Okay.
I have 2 questions, Dr. Glidden. First of all, thank you for the work you're doing with Dr. Wallach. I'm a distributor for the past year now. My aunt-in-law, she's 84 years old. She weighs 124 pounds, and she has colon cancer.
Yeah.
And I just bought her the Z-Radical CEO pack, and she just started taking it today. I want to know what else she can take, and if that's the right thing I got for her.
Well, number one, we can't treat cancer. That's illegal. The only people in the United States that can legally treat cancer are the MD oncologists, the people who are horrible at treating cancer, but that's the way that the laws are here in the not-so-free land of the United States of America. Which is why, by the way, all alternative cancer treatment centers, quote-unquote, are not in the United States, because it's illegal to treat cancer with anything but drugs, surgery, and radiation here in the United States, and drug, surgery, and radiation, by and large, do not work in the treatment of cancer. It's barbaric treatments that are unbelievably expensive and completely ineffective. So, I wrote a book, The MD Emperor Has No Clothes. You can download it to your computer in 5 minutes. Just visit my website, drglidden.com. You know the website. In my book, I wrote a chapter on cancer, and in that chapter there are 10 questions. 10 simple, polite questions that every cancer patient must ask their oncologist in the presence of a witness and a recording device. And if every cancer patient politely asked their oncologist these 10 questions, cancer treatment would dramatically change here in the United States, because most people would refuse it. Questions like, "Doctor, does this treatment cure my cancer?" Well, if it doesn't cure my cancer, what are you attempting to do here? What side effects can I expect to happen? What's going to happen to the quality of my life? How are you going to treat my side effects? How much money is the hospital profiting from this non-curative cancer treatment? How much money are you profiting? And I'd like to talk to 10 of your patients who've had this type of cancer and have survived for more than 5 years. I'd like to talk to them to see what they think of this treatment. And there's a couple more questions in there too. But people who have cancer are scared, and the oncologists prey on the fear. They don't tell people, they don't give people a choice, they don't line the therapeutics up, they don't really talk to anybody about anything, they just set the person up for your latest round of chemo. They order the patient into treatment instead of talking to them about the treatment. It's nonsense, but we're so afraid of the doctor that we just put up with it, and as God is my witness, I don't know why. The most important thing anybody can do who has been diagnosed with cancer is have a polite, insightful, honest conversation in the presence of a witness and a recording device with their oncologist, and ask them these 10 questions. It's mandatory. Now, if she does that and the doctor answers the questions, she will have a really good sense of whether she should move forward with the doctor's treatment, the MD oncologist treatments, or whether do something else on her own, because nobody's holding a gun to her head making her have this treatment. Now, having said that, and re-emphasizing the point that it is illegal to treat cancer, we do not treat cancer, it would be prudent for her, for you, and for me to get on board with a good, solid state, science-based, clinically verified foundation medical nutrition program, because her body is nutritionally starved. So, my recommendation, one Healthy Body Start Pack 2.0 in the liquid form, one Healthy Body Start Pack 2.0 in the liquid form, 2 bottles of selenium, 1 bottle of immortalium per 100 pounds of body weight per month, and as much Z-Radical as she can afford. 1 bottle a day would be perfect. Plus, of course, eliminate the 10 bad foods. That's what I would do if I were her. I'd also pray very, very strongly, and I would educate myself about the efficacy of my MD's recommendations in the presence of a witness and a recording device. God bless you. Best of luck. And keep us informed. Ladies and gentlemen, I've had a lot of fun. Check out my radio show, which is next, Fire Your MD Now. Check my website out, drglidden.com. Live long and prosper.